you follow the rules. You go to school, you go to university, you get a good degree, then you move out to the Middle East. But for me, it was more about the freedom. The academy's been sensational. Before I joined the academy, I used to work in Qatar for a multinational IT company. And then COVID hit. Before you jump ship, try and bring the ship as close as possible to the shore and then go all in. I quit my job in August 2023. And then I picked up, I think it was 2 rent-to-rents in the first month or two. Today, we've got 19 rent-to-rents. We did buy a property. It was on the market for £145,000. So we went in with a cheeky offer of £120,000. The potential, the done-up value is £190,000 once it's refurbed. Samuel, he said to us, put down your objectives for the end of 2025. I put down, I want to have 25 rent-to-rents by the end of this year. We picked up a property for an investor for £55,000.
Come on.
3-bed property, and it'll be worth £85,000 once finished. Fear of failure is a big one. So when you spend the best part of 10 years get into a position in your career, in your life, you're earning good money, you're comfortable, wife's happy, you don't really need to rock the boat. But if you do rock the boat, you're going to have that fear of what if.
Hello and welcome to Samuel Leeds Success Stories. Today we're sitting with Haz El Turk. Welcome, Haz.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So I haven't really had a chance to get to know you too well, so I'm really excited to sit down. I know all about the different projects that you've been doing. It's all very exciting. So let's get started, shall we?
Let's do it. Good to be here.
Why don't we start with before you joined the academy? I always like to start there. Where you were in the world, what you were doing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I joined the academy, I used to work in Qatar. I worked there for 5 years. I was doing technical sales for a multinational IT company. And then COVID hit and we all went into lockdown. And that's when I started reconsidering what I wanted to do long term, because working out in the Middle East, it's very demanding. There's a lot of requirements, a lot of stress. So there's only so long that you can stay in that game without thinking, what should I do with my life, right? Don't get me wrong, the money was very, very good and you don't pay tax. So during that period, I started looking around and property came to mind. Other things came to mind like stocks, crypto, investing. But property was quite interesting because property, you actually own the asset. It's a tangible asset. And we've always known that there's a way to build long-term wealth and capital appreciation. So I looked at some courses, started dabbling in different avenues, rental arbitrage, like the Americans call it. I did a few courses with them. And then found out about the academy when I came back to the UK. And Samuel caught my eye and we hit it off from there.
Great. I mean, that's kind of how it happens, right? You do a bit of research on, different avenues for passive income and property investment, and Samuel's everywhere. So that's excellent. How long were you in Qatar?
I was in Qatar for 5 years. So
5 years.
I was working for this company for best part of a decade. I was in the London office. It was a sales job, but more on the technical consulting side for these organizations that want an IT solution. And then the opportunity came for me to go to Qatar because obviously they had the World Cup and they were expanding their economy and they were building these stadiums and these hotels and these islands. So that was an opportunity of a lifetime. I went out there when I was 26, did that for 5 years. And after the World Cup, about a year later, that's when I came back to the UK and I went full-time into property.
How much money were you making in Qatar?
So the role was quite good. It was, like I said, a sales role. So it was anything from £12,000 to £15,000 a month. And obviously, you're not paying any tax. So
well, I was going to say that's almost double because if you're not paying tax, right?
That's right.
So that's amazing. So 12K a month is just incredible. And so I was in a similar position when I was in Canada. How can you leave a job like that to do something risky like property?
It's hard. It's not something which comes that easily because you worked for nearly 10 years. You follow the rules. You go to school, you go to university, you get a good degree, you get a good job, then you move out to the Middle East. You're getting a salary without having to pay tax. So it was all the right things that you grow up knowing or being told that that's the way to pursue. But for me, it was more about the freedom and the autonomy. When you work for a job for me, I'm a big believer in when you're starting out, it's good to work for a big company or a company that will teach you and guide you and show you the ropes. But the trade-off you have with that is you sacrifice your time, your freedom, your autonomy. And for me, I always wanted more from myself. I wanted to do more for society in the future. So the decision sort of came naturally. And also the role itself was quite demanding, quite stressful. So whilst I was making good money, it wasn't the most enjoyable, right? You're in high stakes environment. You've got these clients, which are ministries or organizations who are building up for this massive event, the World Cup. So it does, it wears you down over a while. So for me, it was like, okay, what do I do next? So I think for anyone who's in a similar situation and wants to go into property or is wanting to do something a bit different, before you jump ship, try and bring the ship as close as possible to the shore and then go all in.
Yeah.
If you have the leeway. So I had built up a certain amount of savings. So I had some runway, which I knew, okay, let's say if I go 6 months or 1 year without this taking off, I'll still be okay.
Right.
So that gave me the confidence to go into property.
Very smart. Great. And then so you joined the academy and then you started doing your training. Did you have a little bit of experience in property investment? Did you kind of understand these strategies before?
Yeah, that's a good question. So before I joined the academy, like I said, I was doing some stuff online. I did a few courses. One thing which did catch my mind was this rental arbitrage model, which I now know is called rent to rent. So the Americans were doing this a lot over in the States and they were being very successful. And I did a course with one of their mentors out there. But I didn't really know how to apply it to the UK, right? So I'd go online and I'd search rental arbitrage UK and nothing really would come up. So I didn't even know it was taking place in the UK until I came across this nice, bubbly, chubby guy on YouTube called Samuel Leeds. And he was just full of energy. And he was saying, okay, this is the model. It's called rent to rent. You take a property off a landlord. You do it up in a certain way. You make it nice. You put it on Airbnb. And the difference is your profit. So I was like, okay, so there is one person in the UK who understands this model. And that's when I first started to, follow his socials, watch his YouTube channels. So when I quit my job, I didn't have any stake in the property game. I didn't have any rent to rents. I had nothing like that. I wasn't even on academy. But I wanted to go all in, right? I wanted to burn the boats, come back to the UK. I knew when I was on the ground, I'd be able to, make some moves and make some progress. So I just betted on myself. I quit my job in August 2023, came back the following month in September of that year. And then I picked up, I think it was 2 rent-to-rents in the first month or two.
Wow.
Came to the crash course in that September in Birmingham. And I remember Samuel was asking questions about why do you come to the crash course? Tell me about yourself, So I just stood up and I told him, I've just come back from Qatar. It's been about a week or two. This is what I want to do in property. He asked me, how much do you have saved? I said, I've got this amount of money saved. And for somehow, he understood. He's like, okay, you don't really want to do anything to do with interest, right? Because I'm a Muslim, so we don't touch interest. And this is the first time I'm meeting Samuel. So I was a bit impressed. I was like, okay, yeah, that's correct. I don't want to do anything with interest. And this was in front of the conference, about 300 people. So in that moment, he just broke down to me a business plan. He's like, all right, this is what you need to do. You need to joint venture with investors, even though you've got money, but you want to joint venture with investors who've also got money, bring in their capital. You upskill yourself to understand how to buy properties below market value, add value to them, push the price up. And then once you refinance from an Islamic finance provider, let's say, they'll get their capital back. And once they've got all their money back, you can go 50-50 on the profits. So for me, that sounds now maybe quite simple for people on property, a joint venture agreement, 50% profit sharing. But at the time when I was doing training with a lot of the other people out there, nobody was talking about this. It was all, okay, you take a loan from an investor, you give them 10%. And, we couldn't do that. So I was that wasn't really something I could do. So when Samuel spoke and it resonated, I said, do you know what? Even though I've already got 2-3 rent-to-rents, I know what I want to be doing. It's worth staying close to these guys because they know a bit more. They've got a bit more understanding of options out there. And that's when I signed up and joined the academy.
Great. And has it delivered for you?
The academy's been sensational, right? And I don't say that lightly because I've spent a good amount of money on other courses in the UK. And I learned what I needed to learn to get me started. But the academy stands out because it has things like unlimited mentorship, right? And even though I didn't leverage it too many times, I might have made over the 2 years maybe 10 or 15 phone calls. But those 10 or 15 phone calls came at times when I was at a crossroad and I needed to understand, what do I do in this situation, right? So I'll give you an example. We were buying a property for an investor and he's based in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia. And the solicitor was telling me that he has to pay a certain amount of extra stamp duty because he's an international investor, right? Even though we set up a UK limited company and done all the things the correct way, I wasn't too sure about that. That was different to what I had known. So I picked up the call, booked a call with the solicitor. She guided me, saved me about £5,000 on the stamp duty. That's one example. There's been other examples. I've been trying to evict a tenant. You know, they've been playing hardball. There's a contract that you get with the academy, you know, excluded license agreements, right? Protects you, protects the tenant, make sure you understand your rights, their rights. So having these things in these critical moments for me made the money that I spent on the academy, you know, that was my return on investment. I got my money back. And it's the networking, the teaching, the courses, the dinners, you know, there's a lot of value. So anyone who asks me now, how do I get into property? I say to them, follow this guy, Samuel, on YouTube. You learn so much for free. You don't have to spend a penny. Once you've got a good base and you're ready to take that step further, then you can think about investing in yourself and going all in, because the proof is there. If you put in the work, then it's a process. You'll get the outcome.
Right. And so you've seen quite an outcome. Can you tell us a little bit about your portfolio of rent-to-rents?
Of course, yeah. So today we've got 19 rent-to-rents, 17 up and running, 2 we've signed in the last week. And we've got 6 management properties as well for Airbnb, 4 up and running and 2 were also signed in the last 2 weeks. So when I first started out, my objective was, I set a realistic objective for myself. I just come back to the UK, you know, I was getting a new place to live, getting back into the system of things. So I said, I want to have an objective of 1 property per month.
Wow. Because I was wondering, how do you scale to 19?
Yeah.
So that's, you had a clear laid out plan. And you're like, 1 property a month.
1 property a month. So after a year, that's 12. After 2 years, that's 24. So we've got 25 now, 19 and the 6 management. And it's a realistic task because for me, initially I had time and I had the money, but I didn't want to spend the money that I invested all into the business, right? So all the savings, the majority went into the business. So I wanted to scale in a consistent way, slowly. And it took me maybe about a year before I started seeing good profits. And even till today, now that we're making profit, all of that gets reinvested back into the business, right? So it's not like, okay, now we've made it and we're going to retire, we're going to buy these super... No, that's not the
on
case.
The beach, no?
We're still, everything gets invested back into the business so that we keep scaling. Because the objective is you want to have the time freedom, right? That was the first thing that made me want to go into business. But when you're in a startup phase and you're scaling, you have to sacrifice your time to get to that position.
Amazing. So isn't it difficult to have that many properties? Like how do you manage that?
It's initially you have to spend the time to get the systems in place. So software helps a lot.
Yeah.
Now that we've got this portfolio of properties, we have a system in place where when a guest books on Airbnb or booking.com or they come through our website, we have a channel manager which unifies all the different platforms. They get
sorry to interrupt. Which channel manager do you use?
We use Uplisting.
Okay.
So I did try out a few different ones before Uplisting.
I've heard Uplisting is good.
Uplisting is very good. It has the functionality that you require. It has a unified inbox. It does automated messages for you, integrates with your team, your cleaners. It gives you insights in the reports, the revenue. It breaks down the metrics for you. They've got a good support team. It looks like I'm selling it. I'm not affiliated with these guys, but we have to say the truth that it is a good product and it's worked well for us.
And can you imagine what we did before technology? Like, what did those people do before they had these channel managers, right?
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I used Avivo, and Avivo was a link with all of the different sites and with a like uniformed calendar and everything. So thank goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got some systems in place. Is it you or do you have a team of people?
We've got a system in place. We've got 2 virtual assistants.
Great.
One is a customer service agent. So she handles all the guest communications, all the operation side to do with liaising with the cleaners. Any issues we get, she takes care of them in terms of if there's a complaint or if there's an issue from, she used to work for Airbnb.
Oh,
So
perfect.
that's a tip.
Wow.
When you're recruiting a virtual assistant, there's many based out in the Philippines where Airbnb has one of its main customer service headquarters. You can find a lot of good talent there who used to work for Airbnb.
So
recruit them into your business. They understand how it works anyway. They already got the training from Airbnb. They're customer facing. So it makes your life easier. So we've got her. She takes care of that day-to-day communication side, which offloads me. And then I've got a VA who does my bookkeeping and the financial side.
Jeremy and Ginny, they're VAs from the Philippines too.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the same lady. I'm just joking.
There's so many. There's so many VAs out there.
How much does a VA cost?
Not much. About $5-6 an hour.
That's amazing. So how often do you use them? Is it like a part-time thing where they take care of the communication?
She works 6 days a week and 4 hours a day, sometimes a bit more if there's more load. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. UK time, which is our busiest period where guests are checking in, guests are checking out, cleaners are coming and going, and there's a lot of communication required. So that's her 4 hours of that. Yeah, that's her period.
So then if somebody sends a message at 3:05...
Yeah, that's when I have to step in.
Okay. Well, at least she does the bulk of the work, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And then maybe if the profit margin's there, then maybe you can start extending that coverage.
100%. Yeah. For me, it's more in terms of I've been so busy scaling the business. I've not had that much time to sit back and optimize more on the systems or recruit. I do know I need to recruit more people, even someone on the ground with me to take care of when there's a maintenance issue,
right?
Because that takes up time, right? But when you're scaling, so there is this principle which is take the time to sharpen the saw. Sometimes you might lose sight of that when you're in the midst of it, but as long as you still have a plan to know, okay, once I've reached a certain amount of figures, metrics, properties, I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna start working on the processes. I've not got there yet, but I do have a plan in terms of I want to hire someone to do this. I want to hire someone to do that.
So outside of your rent-to-rent portfolio, are you purchasing as well?
Yes. So we did buy a property a few months ago. This was a 6-bed HMO and it was on the market for £145,000. It was a bit of a desperate sell because it was a partnership that had broken down between two companies or two individuals. So they were quite motivated to sell. So we went in with a cheeky offer of £120,000, negotiated back and forth. In the end, we got it for £125,000. And that property, the potential, the done-up value is £190,000 once it's refurbed. So that's one I did on a joint venture with one of our investors who is from the Middle East. And the reason I was able to do that was from the support that I understood from Samuel, the model, and also having that mentorship when required.
And did you use the Islamic financing?
That was a 50% joint venture partnership. So the investor put in all the funds to buy the property and the stamp duty. And on the back end, once we've refurbished it, then we can approach an Islamic finance provider and say to them, we've got this asset. Do you want to go and do a partnership with us? Because it won't be an interest-based product, right? It will be another joint venture with these guys. They'd own a portion of the property and then we'd rent it off them whilst buying that portion back off them. But they'll give us the funds. So they'll essentially give us all the capital back, which will allow us to scale. But with property, there's so much that can be done, and the opportunity cost of doing one strategy is that you can't focus on the other strategy. So because I've been focused so much on the whole rent-to-rent, service accommodation, I've not had the time to do that yet, but that's in the plan.
That's in the plan. Do you do like goal setting and, do you put down an action? Like people who write down, right?
Yeah.
What they want to achieve tend to get to their goals further. But I mean, I'm the queen of I don't have time. Do you spend the time to plan out your business strategy?
Yes and no. I could be doing it in a more formal way. So initially, like I said, I had the strategy of one property a month. So when I met that was ticked off. Now for me, I remember writing this down when I was in the ACPM, the Accelerated Coaching Performance Program with Samuel. He said to us, put down your objectives for the end of 2025. So if I recall correctly, I put down I want to have 25 rent-to-rents by the end of this year. So we've got 19 now, we've got six more to go. I think I put 10 management properties. So we've got 6 now. We've got 2 more in the pipeline, so I'm not too far off that.
Wow.
And I want to have 2 properties that we've purchased ourselves, right? So we've bought one, I want to buy another one. That's my short-term goal for 2025.
Short term, all of that. Oh my gosh. Those are goals that some people try to achieve within their lifetime. So it's amazing. We're in the last quarter and you're like sprinting to the finish line. Go on.
No, I appreciate that. So more midterm, long-term, it's to get the business to a place where I'm working more on it rather than in it, right? So I want to have people on the ground who do a lot of the legwork, have more virtual assistants, potentially expand out to the Middle East and start doing interesting things out there. I spent 5 years in Qatar, so I have a good understanding of that country, the dynamics, the society, the operations, the processes. So it would be interesting to explore our models out there. I know a lot of people are going to Dubai, Samuel included.
I know.
For me, I want to try something different, right? Not too far from Dubai, but potentially Qatar. But for me to get to that position, I need to offload myself. And yeah, that will be the aim for 2026.
Great. Do you plan on moving back then? Are you sort of liaising between the Middle East and the UK?
Yeah, I'm very open-minded to that because the quality of life is very, very good in Qatar.
Tell me.
Very nice country, nice people, safe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any of the societal frictions that you have in the UK. And it's a good place to do business. For me as a Muslim, it's comfortable there. You've got a lot of mosques everywhere.
Yeah.
So for me, it makes sense to look at it going forward. And I don't like to pin myself down in any one location, right? So right now I'm in the UK. Tomorrow I might be somewhere else. The world is our oyster, so I'll go where it takes me.
That's great. And so actually, you grew up in London, but when you moved back from Qatar, you didn't move back to London. You moved to
Grimsby.
And so the only reason I know Grimsby is because close friends of mine, Scott Lyons, Jeremy and Ginny, they invest in Grimsby and Cleethorpes. And so that was a conscientious decision for you to not live in the high life of London with the skyrocketed prices, but move to a place where there's huge opportunities for property investment.
Yeah. That has a story to it as well. So when we were thinking about coming back to the UK, my wife really liked it in Qatar. So, it took a bit of convincing, but she was very supportive. But she had one condition, which is we're not going to London.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because when you go from a place like Qatar, which is very quiet, calm, and then you go to London, London is busy, congested, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So she said, we'll go to Grimsby. And for me, I said to her, no problem, because first, it keeps her happy, which is always a good thing. And the second thing is, there's a lot of opportunity to do property in Grimsby, right? Yes. So I'm always looking for win-wins. That was a very easy win-win.
Yeah.
We moved to Grimsby. So it's been 2 years now. And it's a great market there. It's great for short-term rentals that we do quite a bit in Grimsby and the surrounding towns. And it's amazing, excellent for buying properties, right? The barrier to entry is quite low.
Right.
So you can still pick up properties and we did this, so I'll give you an example. We picked up a property for an investor for £55,000.
Come on.
3-bed property, £55,000. And
that's amazing.
Doesn't need much doing to it, £10,000 of refurbishment. And it'll be worth £85,000 once finished.
Wow.
So
that's an all money out deal, free house, and then it's going to run as a
short-term rental.
Short-term rental. What kind of profit would that property be generating per month?
So it's a 3-bed property, and we anticipate it probably make revenue about 2.5 to 3K in the higher seasons. So profit on that, if they don't refinance and it's just a cash, they don't have a mortgage expense, they'll probably make about half of that as profit. So about 1.2 to 1.6K of profit.
Wow.
If they refinance and they have a mortgage in place, and obviously that'll have to come off.
Yeah.
So for a 55K investment, it's not really too bad.
It isn't. I mean, it's an ideal transaction. Plus, it's like you said, low barrier, right? Can you get more? Can you get like 10 and put them on Deal Connect and get everybody into these?
There's a lot of opportunities out there, and this is one thing which I'm a big believer in, which is that there is a lot of potential and opportunity for anyone to go and do this, right? It's not. I'm not the type to say, you know what, I'm going to restrict that information to me and not tell you about what we're doing and our location, because there's so many properties out there.
Yeah.
If you take the time to understand how to find them and how to negotiate, you're going to get the same results, if not better.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential out there. And if anyone wants to work with us, we're always open to doing business.
Great. Do you do the refurbs or do you bring in teams?
So I'm quite fortunate again. My wife's father, my father-in-law, he's got his own building company.
Come on.
So he does the refurbishments
Yeah.
for us, and he does them to a very, very high standard.
Yeah. Is
So
he based in Grimsby as
He's
well?
based in
then?
Grimsby, yes.
Perfect.
So it all makes sense. And
Yeah.
for me, starting out and learning about how to do the refurbishment side, that's been a great help as well, because in the wild, wild west of builders, where you don't know who to trust, having that father figure there who's been doing it for 30 years,
Yes.
who can mentor you and teach you and show you the ropes, that's also been quite invaluable.
Oh, I'd say you hit the jackpot, right?
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Okay, so then what are the next projects then that you have cooking on the frying pan?
Yeah, so the next projects are the one I mentioned to you, the one that we bought for the investor. That one has completed recently. So next month, we're going to start the refurbishment on that.
Yep.
We're currently doing a project for an investor who previously invested with us. They bought a property. It was on the market for 110. We got it down to 92 and a half. We spent 40K on the refurbishment. Got it to a very, very high standard. Now it's worth 180.
Amazing.
So he went and invested again with us. Now we're finishing up his second project. So the idea is to keep busy on the BRR side, on the refurbishment side, whilst quietly increasing the portfolio of rent to rents and managements. So that's the goal for now.
So you're finding these great deals for investors. And so when are you going to start then finding deals for yourself?
Yeah, good question. So like I said, we've got the one that we did as a joint venture with one of my good friends and partner.
Right.
And he's got an ambition. He wants to do 5 or even 10.
Okay.
He wants to keep going, right? He wants to build a portfolio where we buy 2 at a time. And once the second one completes, then we go and refinance the first one and do a third one.
Yeah.
And then keep recycling that money to grow the portfolio. But for me, there's always, the only restriction is time, right? There's only one of me, and I want to be able to scale it. So for me, that's going to be a goal to get another one in this year and then scale more in 2026.
Great. All right. So through all of your transactions, what has been like one of the regrets that you've had in decision making?
Regrets I've had, I don't really have too many regrets in terms of, beating myself up about a decision that I've made. But there's been a lot of learning moments in the journey, right? Because when you start out with anything, you have to understand that you're starting from zero and it's going to take a period of learning, mistakes, course correction before you get to a position of, okay, I sort of know what I'm doing. So for me, when I first started out, a bit like a deer in the headlights. Okay, how do I start? What do I do? But you just got to start taking action. Once you've got the momentum and you keep going and you learn and you make mistakes and you learn how to deal with the public, which is not that easy. With the public, you have to always have a view of, kindness and, a lot of forbearance, and there'll be issues and sometimes people try and scam you. So you've got to roll with the punches and just try your best. Don't try and rip anyone off, but at the same time, don't let anyone rip you off at the same time. And just keep going forward. And, you have to trust the process. So the blueprint is out there in property. Before the dawn of the internet and social media and YouTube, it was hard to learn these things, right? If you came from that environment, you knew what to do. But if you didn't, you struggled. Today, there really isn't an excuse to not get started, right?
Yeah.
Because you can go and educate yourself and learn for free and spend the time. And then once you've got a certain amount of knowledge, you take a little bit of action consistently, that will snowball.
It will snowball for sure. Okay, wonderful. So, do you have any words of wisdom for anybody who is looking to start off in property with very little experience, no money? What kind of advice could you give them?
Words of wisdom. I would say a lot of times people think that the cost of failure is higher than what it really is. But if you break it down to, let's say someone's in a full-time job and they don't like it and they want to go and do something different and get their time back. The worst case scenario is if it doesn't work, then you're going to go back into a full-time job, most likely similar to what you're already doing, and resume. So the worst case scenario is you end up where you already are. But the best case scenario is you'll learn, you'll get experience, you'll build momentum, you'll start seeing the fruits of your labor, and you'll start taking control of your life. So I think the thing that I would highlight to people who are on the fence or they're wanting to get started is, the risk isn't that risky. We live in a time today where no matter what happens, you're still going to have food, you're still going to have shelter, but the opportunity out there is immense. So don't be afraid. We're all afraid. Everyone's afraid of different things, right? But to be courageous, it's not the absence of fear. It's to sit with that fear and control it and say, no problem, but we're going to move forward. So just take that leap, bet on yourself, get the right education, surround yourself with similar-minded people, and ask for help when you need it.
I feel you come across as a confident, smart person. So I can't even imagine you had any fears. What kind of fears did you have that you had to overcome to get to where you are now?
Fear of failure is a big one. So when you spent the best part of 10 years getting to a position in your career, in your life, you're earning good money, you're comfortable, wife's happy, you don't really need to rock the boat. But if you do rock the boat, you're going to have that fear of what if?
Yeah.
And that's even till today. I don't know what's behind the corner. The government might introduce new laws, taxes, this and that. There's always that fear of the unknown. But you have to push past that, push past it, and just understand that all you can control is the input, right? Which is what you do. The output, you can't control that. We leave it to God. So we do our best, and that's all you can do. So I think for me, I just try and remind myself of that. And even like when you do have the moments, just give yourself some grace, pick yourself back up and move forward.
Great. And do you have a family? You mentioned your wife a few times.
Yeah, so my family, my parents, they're in London, and my in-laws in Grimsby, so I'll go between them. But yeah, it's me and my wife. And for now, we're in Grimsby, but who knows where we'll be in the future.
Well, I was wondering, I'm like, are you like planted in Grimsby now, or there's a chance that you might move back to the Middle East, move back into London? So Grimsby might be sort of a temporary...
For now, Grimsby is good for us.
Yeah.
The business is good. We're all set up. There's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah.
So for now, it's like what Samuel says. Like once the sun is out, keep making hay. Right.
That's right.
Right now, the opportunity is there. But if the market changes, if circumstances change and if there's opportunities elsewhere, then we're always looking to expand.
Well, I think you're placed in exactly the right spot, right? And you have the skill set. So me as an investor, then I could just reach out to you. You could find me a cracking deal.
Anytime.
Money out. You'll project manage, and you'll manage the property.
Yes.
Like it's an all-in turnkey scenario.
That's right. Yes. So for investors, that's one of the key things which they benefit from is that they don't really have to do too much.
Yeah. And they don't even have to have too much.
That's right.
Maybe 30 grand.
Yeah.
Give it to you and you're just going to make property babies for me, right?
That's right. Yeah. It's hands off for them. Listen, in business, you always want to look for the wins.
Yeah.
Some people might have the, assumption that if I'm in a winning position and the other party is lost, then I've won. But if it's a win-lose, you've actually lost in the long term, because if the other party isn't doing well, they're not going to come back to you and they're not going to be happy with your service and you're going to have a bad reputation.
Right.
But if you look for a win-win where you want to make sure the investor is succeeding, at the same time you're succeeding, then you're going to have repeat business. People are going to be speaking well of you, and it just builds up goodwill on all sides.
So I came from over 20 years in the car business, and the mentality there in these aggressive sales environments with these, beautiful facilities, German engineering, the sexiest cars in the showroom. My team, my managers in the sales department, they'd say, Patricia, don't tell other dealerships our trade secrets, right? Don't tell them. And here you are sitting, you're going to be on YouTube and you're telling everybody Grimsby, Grimsby. And I find that culture is sort of within the academy. Are you not worried about diluting your own market? Like, is that not something that
So
you think about?
There's two sides to that. The first is abundance mindset.
Yes. Thank
You want to be
Haz.
in a position where, there's always enough for all of us.
There really is.
There's enough of the pie to go around.
Yeah.
I don't have to restrict it from nobody.
Yeah.
Because the second thing we believe in is that your provision is also determined for you, right? If you act in a certain way and you have an upright character and you conduct business in the right way and you go out and you do your best, then what's going to come your way will come your way. So nobody's going to take what's for mine, and I'm not going to take what belongs to someone else.
Right.
So I invite it. Anyone who wants to come up to Grimsby, feel free to come up. You don't even have to come and say hello to me. You just come and have a look. And if you need anything, we're always happy to help.
I definitely need to get to Grimsby because I keep hearing about it, right? And of course, and my closest friends are investing in Grimsby. I was just in Doncaster for their Inner Circle 2 weeks ago. Hull is opening an Inner Circle. Are you going to the Inner Circles?
I'm speaking at one in 2 weeks' time in Chester.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That's great. Is this the first time you're speaking at an Inner Circle?
It's the first time I even go to an Inner Circle.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, I asked you earlier before we started filming. I'm like, are you coming to the dinner tonight? When was the last time? And when was the last time you'd been to one of the monthly dinners?
Yeah, 6 months ago.
6 months ago. You need to take advantage of the academy more.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a huge opportunities. And can you imagine the lives that you can change by being present at these events?
It's amazing. When in the first year, I think I was a bit more regimental in going to the dinners. I'd go to one at least once every 2 months, and I'd speak on stage, and you get a lot of benefit and you give back to people.
Yeah.
For me now, the main struggle was just all the different commitments and all the different projects.
I know.
So
you're spread thin, right?
Yeah, and I'm not in London anymore. So for me, it's like whenever there's a few things happening in the same week, let's say an academy dinner, this is happening, Samuel's doing a few events, I try and do, I know in that month there's 2 or 3 events. Let me go to London, tick them all off, go spend a couple of nights at home with my parents and my family.
Yeah.
Then I'll go back to my projects.
Yeah. So how many projects do you have right now spinning in the air?
So now like I said, we've got those 2 rent-to-rents which we've secured this week. So I need to get them, and we're paying rent for them as of this month. So I need to get them up and running this month.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got the BRR project that we're doing for our investor that's ongoing. And then we've got the second one for the other investor, which has to start in the next 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 management properties which we picked up also 2 weeks ago, which we onboarded last week, but I need to just finalize them onto the systems and get them up and running.
Yeah.
And that's all for this month of October.
And that's on top of your huge portfolio of rent-to-rents and management.
Yes, the rent-to-rents, yeah, exactly. Because the rent-to-rents, they're the priority now because they don't take up too much time, but they have strong financials. They do good numbers on revenue, profit. So
Amazing.
It's good to give them more focus as well.
Yeah. So Haz, earlier you mentioned that you were speaking to Samuel and he had mentioned the benefits of this new financing branch that he's created. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Islamic finance is essentially a means of doing business which is not to do with interest, which we can't take, if you're a Muslim. It's more along the lines of a joint venture partnership, right? So for us, there's a few different mechanisms. It's called musharaka and mudaraba. Mudaraba is essentially a joint venture partnership, which is similar to what we spoke about that we've done with our investor, which is one party puts in the money, the second party puts in the sweat equity and does all the work, and then they have an agreement in terms of profit sharing. That's all well and good, right? That's the first one. The second model, which I think Samuel Leeds is also now offering in his as an Islamic finance product, is called musharaka, which is a joint ownership of a property or an asset in general, where the one party, for example, Samuel Leeds, doing this model, he'd buy the property and then he'd sell it back to you, but at a slightly higher rate. And you'd also rent off him the portion that he owns until you've bought all the property back off him. So how that differs from interest is essentially somebody gives you £100,000 and tells you need to give me 5% on that, which for us we can't do because money is not a commodity. You can't trade something which doesn't have an intrinsic value. Money is a storage of value. So you can't just take a percentage on the money, but when it comes to an asset, whether it's oil, gold, silver, or property, that's now a business. That's something tangible, right? So if the other party buys it for you and sells it to you, that's accessible, right? And obviously it's a massive market to be gone into, which is credible for Samuel Leeds, right? There's 2 billion Muslims in the world. So it's there's a big opportunity out there. And for us, again, win-win. So there's opportunity for the big corporations. For us individuals, it's an opportunity to access finance and to do business and to expand. So yeah, that's I'd encourage people to look into that.
Great. And so are there people in your community who maybe has not gone through the training? Is it easy for them to sort of comprehend how this option would work for them?
Yeah, I mean, all the information is out there. If somebody is looking to understand the model in a bit more detail, then it's not that complicated. I think sometimes people overthink things. It's just a different way of thinking about things, which is instead of paying interest on the money which is being borrowed, you're now jointly owning an asset and then slowly buying it back off the other party. So it's all very straightforward when you break it down.
So is the title in both names?
Yes, it will be. Yes, and it'll be 2 contracts.
2 contracts, or do you create a company between the 2 of you, one company?
So it depends. So if it's like a joint venture, which is what we've done with our investor, you start a company and then you're both partners and you're both shareholders, and then you have like an agreement in place where it states somebody's putting money in, and then you have a profit sharing agreement. If it's more from like a high street Islamic finance lender, then the way I understand it is that there'll be a contract in place which mentions that they've purchased a property and are selling it back to you. And over time, you're going to buy their share off them whilst you rent the property or their share of the property, right? So there's almost 2 contracts in there.
Right.
But I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to summarize it for the viewers.
I think that was great. That's actually very clear. So wonderful. And so with all of your property businesses, what are you taking home? Like what's your turnover and then your profit margin?
So last month in August, we had our record month where we made £50,000 in revenue.
Oh my gosh.
And 22,000 was the profit.
Wow.
Right? But that's an outlier. That's summer. That's August. That's the busiest month of the year. On average, I'd say it's about half in terms of the revenue, probably be around £35,000. And the profit will be closer to £12,000, right? If you average out throughout the year. That's with the 17 rent-to-rents that are active and 3 of the management properties are active, yeah.
Right. So today you've equaled your 12K from your sales job in Qatar.
Yes.
Is it easier, fun? Is it less work, less time?
Well, it's interesting. If you think about how long it took for me to get to that position in the corporate side, it took nearly a decade to get to that.
That's a good way of breaking it down. A decade to get there.
Whereas now I've been in property for 2 years and I've managed to scale it and I've got there faster. Now, having said that, there were certain, things which helped, having, a certain amount of savings, having the training, believing in yourself. But it goes to show, even if it doesn't take you 2 years, it takes you 3, 4, 5 years, the blueprint is the same.
Yeah.
You follow the steps and you'll be able to make it. So it does feel good because now you're an autonomous person. You've got your time back. You've got the freedom of speech. When you work for a big company, you got to be careful what you say. Now your own person. You've got your time. You've got your autonomy. So I wouldn't go back to it if I can help it at all.
I agree. I wouldn't go back even if they paid me more. Right.
That's right.
That's the thing, and your freedom is so important, right?
Yes.
Just being able to do what you want,
That's
not
right.
ask for permission, no red tape, and the tax benefits. I mean, you can't really argue being self-employed with the tax benefits here too, right? I mean, I remember half my paycheck at Porsche would go directly to the government before it even landed in my bank account.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's... Oh man,
that's an interesting topic because I wasn't paying tax in the Middle East, but now there's a lot of tax.
Now you're paying taxes.
Now there's a lot of tax, but because we keep expanding.
Yeah.
So even though we're saying this is the profit, there isn't really that much profit because it's all getting expended back into expanding. Exactly. Which is what the big companies do anyway. If you look at Airbnb, if you look at Uber, if you look at the big tech companies, a lot of them after 6, 7, 8 years. On paper, they've not made any profit because they keep expanding.
Right.
But then when they get valued based on their revenue, whether it's a 2, 3, 4x multiplier. So it's not a bad thing, right, to continue to not show the profit as long as you're growing and you have a plan, because ultimately one day you do want to make a profit.
Right.
And then obviously that will be a big consideration for the taxman.
Yeah. So right now you're taking home about 12K a month. What is your ultimate financial freedom goal look like for your take home?
So for me, when to clarify, that goes back into the company.
Okay.
So we don't see all of that.
Right. Yeah.
We take a very basic salary to keep us going, and all the money stays in the company whilst we expand. But for me, I think, as an individual, if you've taken home 5, 6, 7,000 pounds, you'd be very comfortable. You can live a very comfortable lifestyle. And for me, business is a vehicle. It's not an end. It's a means to an end, right? And the end is to be able to give back to society, to help those less fortunate. You look around today, you look on the news, you see what's happening in the world. There's a lot of bad things taking place. Let's leave it at that. Yeah. So to be able to contribute and support where needed, I think that's a big goal for me, right?
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Well, yeah, I expect to see you more in the inner circles, right? I don't have an inner circle in Grimsby.
No.
So let me know when you're ready.
Yeah,
okay. Well, that's great. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, what would be the best way?
I'm on Instagram, haz.estates.
Haz.estates. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. I really appreciate it. You have so much value to give, so much knowledge. And I just love the kind of the inspirational words you have for people too, right? Because it is hard, isn't it? It's hard, but we just have to work hard to get to our goals.
I appreciate it. Yeah, 100%. It's hard work, but it's not hard once you know what you're doing.
Exactly. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'll see you at the dinner tonight.
Perfect.
And if you found some value from the tips that Haz has given us, then please do like, share, subscribe, comment, let the algorithm gods send this video to more people to help more people, and reach out to Haz. He's an amazing person. Go down to Grimsby, have coffee with him. You could take us on a tour
Anytime.
of your different properties. That would be really cool. We should definitely set that up, right?
Anytime.
You got to get your properties onto site visits on the portal.
Yes. Why
That's
not?
the next step.
Let's
do your
do it.
Winners 2.0, right? All of that stuff. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.